DEV at RadioVermont.com or register your guests at Johnson Woolen Mills, Main Street, Johnson. Wear it for a lifetime. But hurry, entry deadline is December 4th.
The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to WDEV at RadioVermont.com.
The energy. We walked around for 35 minutes just in the parking lot looking for this car. The passion. UVM schedules the way they do to get as high a seed as possible in the NCAA tournament and to get as much tournament prep as they can because they're not going to get it from their league. The opinions on all your favorite teams. The organization should be taking care of Matt rather than Matt taking care of the organization. This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com. What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show right here on a Friday on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Short show today. We're on for just an hour, just 1 hour as we go up until 6:30, and that's when we hit Norwich hockey. The Cadets traveling to Babson for the first of two on a road weekend. Babson tonight and Southern Maine tomorrow. Phil Perry, Patriots Insider, NBC Sports Boston, is going to join us in about 15 minutes to talk about that Pats beatdown last night against the Buffalo Bills. We've got our text line open for you for the next hour. Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line 802-585-3026. Your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. You can also watch the show on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and on my Twitter account.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and online at sticksandstuff.com. Also a location at Swanton Lumber. Patriots now 6-6, beaten by the Bills yesterday, 24-10. As I start this show today, I'm not going to yell. I'm not even going to get upset. I'm going to do something I rarely do. And that is, I'm going to say, I told you so. I don't say I told you so often, but I'm saying it today. I just want you to know that just about everything that I have said for the last 8 months came out and was proven true last night. All of you who doubted my thoughts on social media, all of you who doubted my thoughts on the text line, all of you who doubted my thoughts on the team, on Matt, on the direction of the franchise, all of you, I just ask you this one question. Can you swallow your pride and admit that nearly everything I've been saying to you for 8 months is right? I don't get everything right, but this one, this team, I got it nearly to a T. The New England Patriots are not in the same stratosphere as the Buffalo Bills. We saw that last December. We saw it again in January in the playoffs, and we saw it again up close and personal last night. The Patriots needed to be doing things, as I told you, all offseason, in the draft, and now subsequently in the regular season. They needed to be doing things that could help them catch and beat teams like the Bills, and they are not even close. I don't know about you. I might be crazy. I don't know about you, but my goal was not to beat the Lions. My goal is not to beat Jacoby Brissett and the Cleveland Browns. My goal is not to beat Sam Ehlinger. My goal is to win the damn Super Bowl. And to win the damn Super Bowl, you need to be able to beat teams like that last night, especially when they come into your building. And last night, as I have been telling you for 8 months, you proved you're not even close. You're not even close. And as a result, the 2022 New England Patriots, their season is over. It is done. I'll be watching it. You'll be watching it. We'll still talk about it. There's still things we want to see happen. There are reasons to watch. But when it comes to the playoff aspirations, the New England Patriots season is over. Not mathematically over, but it is over. You're 6-6. You're on the outside looking in. You're in last place in your division. You need to win 4 of the next 5 to even have a chance at the playoffs. And I'm telling you now, as your friend, as your New England Patriots truth teller, I'm telling you it's not going to happen. Now, the Patriots will beat the Cardinals next week. The Cardinals are dysfunctional. Even on the road, you will beat the Arizona Cardinals. The Patriots will stave off execution a little bit longer. But again, make no mistake, this season is over. You need to win 4 of your last 5. Do you have confidence that this team and this offense can go into Buffalo in early January and win? Because I don't. Do you have confidence that this team and this offense can keep pace with Joe Burrow when he's got Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase with him? Because I don't. Do you think they can beat Tua and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? I'd say probably not. I told you this offseason. Okay, I told you in the offseason the New England Patriots were knocking into the playoffs with this team and this schedule. I told you low end, they're a 7-win team. I told you high end, they're a 10-win team, but they're likely to be 8 or 9 wins, and that is exactly where they are, and that is exactly what is going to happen. And make no mistake, as I'm telling you I told you so, this is a complete organizational-wide failure. This isn't just on Mac Jones. It's not just on Bill Belichick. It's not just on Matt Patricia. And it's not just on Robert Kraft. This is on everyone. It is that simple. I'll be honest with you, I'm not even mad the Patriots lost last night. I'm not even mad because I knew it was coming. I saw it from a mile away, and when you are prepared for it, and when you are expecting it, and when it doesn't blindside you, it just doesn't hurt that much. This is what the New England Patriots are. Average. And when average takes on excellent, average doesn't win very often. The Patriots are average, and I've been telling you that for months. Now, we're going to get deeper into the game, into the issues, and all of this when we unpack the Patriots at about 6:05 after we talk to Phil Perry. But understand this, on last night's game, the 24-10 loss to the Bills, we had last night pretty much down to a T also. Not only were we right on the offseason, we were right about last night. We said that in order for the Patriots to beat the Bills, they were going to have to do what? Play nearly perfectly. They were going to need to play their most perfect game of the season. And guess what? The Patriots bungled that idea 6 ways to Sunday. They fumbled on their first 3rd down, 3rd and 1, and had to punt. They dropped an interception that the one play that Josh Allen gave them, they dropped the interception. They couldn't block. They were 3 of 12 on 3rd down. Once again, they didn't score a touchdown in the red zone. We said you need to stop Josh Allen from scoring in the red zone, and of course they didn't. 4 of your 5 offensive linemen got called for holding alone yesterday. The Patriots handled the clock all wrong at the end of the first half. They missed a field goal. You needed to play perfect, and you played everything but. And now the Buffalo Bills are doing to you what you did to them forever. We already knew it, but last night you saw it. The tables have officially turned. This is not your division anymore. It hasn't been your division on paper for the last 2 years. It is not your division in practice anymore. It is embarrassing what the Patriots are putting on film right now offensively. And it's even more embarrassing because some schmuck like me could predict it. If I can predict it, if I can tell you what's going to happen last April, then how can the people in charge not see it? The Patriots can barely pick up first downs. They're in their own way. How many cut blocks does Trent Brown have to whiff on before something gets better? The regression right now is comical. Nearly this same team went to the playoffs a year ago and looked at least functional on offense. And now it doesn't feel like they're functional. It is a comical regression here. Mark in Essex says, Brady, you're yelling. You said you would. Well, now I'm getting frustrated. I've taken my victory lap, and now I'm getting frustrated. Dave in Montpelier, so if you're considering the Patriots season over, can you please bring more attention to the amazing early seasons of the Celtics and Bruins? Yeah, Dave, we're going to be getting to the Celtics and Bruins, I promise you. When the Patriots are playing meaningless football in a couple weeks, it'll be all Celtics and Bruins and the rest of the NFL. We have an obligation to talk about the Patriots. They are on our station. We are tied into their brand. Football is the most popular sport in the country. Sorry to you and everybody else who likes hockey and basketball better, but that's just the way it is. We have to talk about the Patriots, and we are going to, but I'm telling you that their season from a playoff standpoint is over. Texter says, you were right, I give you that, but the situation was kind of obvious. If you were in Massachusetts, your view would have been hated on hard, ha, ha, ha. Look, I think this was largely predictable, right? People predicted that the offense was going to combust under Matt Patricia. It's not all on him. This is on everybody. And that's the point I want to get across, because I've seen people telling me that, oh, it's only Mac. It's not only Mac. I've seen people say, oh, it's only Belichick. It's not only Belichick. It is everybody. Everybody has had a hand in this, and this is bad because of everybody. And it's disappointing and it's frustrating because it was predictable and there were things that could have been done about it that weren't. And there were adjustments that could have been made that aren't being made. Look, they're going to go and they're going to beat Arizona, and they're going to be 7-6, and they're still going to be in it. And CBS and ESPN and NBC and Fox are going to flash up the In the Hunt column, and the Patriots are going to appear there. And then they're going to play Vegas, who they do have a realistic chance at beating. And they very well might be 8-6. And they'll still need to win 2 of their final 3. And it'll come down to, can you beat Cincy, Miami, and Buffalo 2 out of 3? And I don't think they can. And I'm not convinced they can beat Vegas. Can beat Vegas, excuse me. I'm not convinced of that. I saw Vegas score 40 points last week. Seattle's not as good as the Patriots, but Seattle scored 34 points. I don't think the Patriots can score 34 points. The Patriots haven't beaten anybody this year that scored more than 17. They haven't beaten anybody that has scored more than 17. I'm thinking about their losses. They've got 6 of them, right? Miami scored more than 17. They lost. Baltimore scored more than 17. They got smoked. Chicago scored 33, I think. They got beaten. Buffalo had 24. They got beaten. That's 4 losses off the top of my head. I'm trying to think of the other ones here without having to look it up. You know, trust me, it'll come to me here. Oh, Green Bay scored, I think, 27. They lost that game in overtime. And Minnesota scored 33, and they lost. So there you go. There's your 6 losses. They haven't beaten anybody that scored more than 17. The offense is inept. The offense is regressing, and everybody has a hand in it. You know who's got the best handle on what's going on? That's our guy Phil Perry of NBC Sports Boston, our Pats insider, who's calling in now.
Whoa. What did he say?
Let's play the right button, people. That one was on me. My bad. Sorry, Phil, you got to wait a second.
It's another Football Friday and another look at your New England Patriots. And I will put it at the feet of Mac Jones. I mean, you get the credit when everything's going well. First third down of the game, first drive of the game, you throw it right to the other team. 7 points going the other way. With all the info from Patriots Place, it's Pat's insider, Phil Perry. No, it's not that I think less of him. I think the fact that I am high on him leads to the honest criticism of him. I know he's better than the way he's played on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
All right, Phil Perry, our insider from NBC Sports Boston, is with us now here on the phone line, as he is every single Friday. Patriots lose to the Bills. Final score 24-10. Pat's now 6-6, and certainly on the outside looking into that AFC playoff spot. Phil, how are you on this Friday?
I'm doing all right, Brady. A little gassed. I think I'm getting old. These night games are hard to watch. If the offense is as bad as the Patriots right now, makes it even a little bit harder.
You know, I see a lot of people talking about Mac Jones today, saying Mac's not the guy, Mac's no good. I got buddies texting me that Mac sucks. And, well, look, I've never been the biggest Mac Jones fan, and everybody who listens to me knows that. This feels like what happened last night and what's happening this season feels like an organizational-wide failure rather than just a Mac Jones is the problem thing. Do you agree with me, or do you agree with them?
I agree with you. I would not put Mac Jones at the top of the list of long-term concerns here. Now, what you could say about Mac Jones is he is not physically special enough to overcome some shortcomings everywhere else, but not many are. Josh Allen is, Patrick Mahomes is, and even those guys, I think, you know, Allen in particular, with a coordinator change that he's going through this year and some struggles, I think, that are maybe or maybe associated with that, I should say, in some way. But those guys are special talents that are probably going to succeed in almost any team with almost any coach. So that's not Mac Jones. And if that's a criticism of him, that, you know, you can't win a Super Bowl with a guy unless he looks and plays like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, then fine. I think there is an argument to be made there. I think you do need, at times, to be a little different athletically. But the Patriots knew what they were getting into with Mac Jones. This is a guy who was really accurate, who understood football, who understood defenses, had an advanced understanding of the game when he came into the pro game. And if you had him in the right situation, with a good offensive line, with a good play caller, with some playmakers that can do some things with the ball after the catch, you could have a really good quarterback really quickly on your hands. And I think the Patriots found that last year in spurts. And I think he hit a wall sort of at the end of the year, which led to a decline late. But to look at what they're doing right now and the disjointedness of the offense, the offensive line performing the way it is performed, the plans and the lack of adjustments in game, I thought that was the biggest thing yesterday, Brady. They knew what they were doing wasn't working, and yet they continued to go to the well. Why? Because it was a two-possession game, and it was relatively close, and they were waiting for Josh Allen to give them a pick six, or they were waiting for Marcus Jones to return a punt for a touchdown. You can't play that way against good teams in the NFL in 2022. So I start with the coaching, and I work my way down from there.
Is it too hard to have essentially two full-time jobs on the same coaching staff? I mean, we can all blame Matt Patricia for what's happening, but is it his fault, right? Call the plays and coach the offensive line, and both areas seem to be struggling right now. Is this a situation of I can't give my full attention to both, and that's why both are struggling?
I think it's completely fair, because this is unprecedented for the Patriots. It's really, as far as I understand it, Brady, it's unprecedented for the league to be an offensive line coach full-time and an offensive coordinator. Now, I do think, Matt Patricia gets a lot of help from Billy Yates on the offensive line. And so maybe Billy Yates is really actually functioning as more of the offensive line coach than Matt Patricia is, because he's got his hands full with game planning and design. But it certainly looks like, based on the performance of the line and the design of the offense and the execution of the offense and the understanding of how to manage the clock offensively and the details or lack thereof that we're seeing play to play, when they don't run that many plays, and the plays that they do run are relatively simple and you're still lacking detail, I think it's completely fair to come back to the guy who's got too much on his plate on paper and say, maybe you should be focusing on one of these. So completely fair. It's been a fair question for us to ask of Bill Belichick from the jump, from the summer. And I think the fact that the offense hasn't grown and in some cases it has regressed, I think is an indication of the fact that Matt Patricia is trying to do a little bit too much for a guy who has zero experience in the two jobs that he's handling this year.
Given what we know about offensive line play, how important it is, how hard it is to develop it, how quickly those guys get injured, why did this team trade Shaq Mason and let Ted Karras go?
Money. Pretty easy, pretty simple answer there. That is 100% the reason why. Ted Karras essentially got lowballed by the Patriots, took more money elsewhere to Cincinnati. I think he was open to staying, even if the path to him starting wasn't necessarily evident, obvious this past offseason. And Shaq Mason was clearly a money move. I was told it was a money move. They got a 5th-round pick back for him. That is nothing for a starting caliber player at just about any position, offensively or defensively, in the NFL. They're just trying to get some money off their books. So they're tight to the cap. All the spending that they did 2 offseasons ago. And unfortunately for them, they have the highest paid tight end room in the league. They have one of the highest paid receiver rooms in the league. And they still have one of the worst offenses in the league. Can't be happy about that if you're ownership.
Phil Perry, NBC Sports Boston, Pat's Insider with us here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. We saw the Mac Jones viral video. He's unhappy last night. You talked to some of the guys in the locker room. They were unhappy last night. I was listening to Eric Mangini, who was on Cowherd earlier today, and he said, I'm shocked by the level of transparency that these guys are showing in a way they never have before. Are you surprised at how open Patriots players are with their displeasure? Because that is unpatriot-like.
I am, but I understand it too, because this has been building, Brady. They've been frustrated. The offense has been frustrated since the summer, and that really hasn't gone away. I would say what I experienced in the Patriots locker room after the game Thursday night was exasperation on the players' end, meaning it is ratcheted up. The frustration has now become aggravated. And the reason I think that's safe to say is because of what we're hearing from players with microphones in their faces, cameras in their faces, multiple reporters at their lockers. Kendrick Bourne talking about how they need to, quote-unquote, scheme up better situations on third down after going 3 for 10 last week, 3 for 12 this week. They're just completely non-functional on that all-important down. Situational football matters to Bill Belichick, and they are among the worst offenses in football situational. Third down, red zone, 31st in the league coming into week 13. Devontae Parker telling me last night that it is frustrating that they don't try to throw the ball down the field more, especially understanding that they have to keep pace to an extent with a really good offense on Buffalo's sideline, and understanding that their offense, like it or not this year, has at times been driven by the big play. For much of the season, they've been among the league leaders in plays of 20 yards or more. And without those, imagine where this offense would be in terms of its overall efficiency. And I know some of that aggressive nature that was plain to see early in the season also got them into some trouble turnover-wise. But unfortunately, to go to the great football philosopher Bruce Arians and his favorite saying, no risk it, no biscuit, there is some risk in trying to be an explosive offense. That's what makes the great offenses great, are the ones who can mitigate that risk and continue to be explosive. So the Patriots are trying to find their way there. They do have some explosive playmakers. That is the one difference between this year and last year. You have Devontae Parker. You have Tyquan Thornton, who has in spurts shown that he can give you something down the field. Nelson Aguilar has done a little bit more at times this year in terms of being a deep play threat than I thought he really was last year. And so you're giving the opposing defenses something to consider down the field. And yet in a game like that one, against one of the best offenses on the planet, you refuse to do it. I understand why, Brady, I do. The offensive line is a mess, and you're trying to keep Mac Jones healthy. And so you don't want to drop back for 5 seconds on a regular basis and expose him to more punishment than he needs to be exposed to. But you're playing the Bills. You have to score points. You have to score touchdowns, try to dink and dunk your way to a win, and hope that Josh Allen's going to turn it over and give you the football game is not a sound approach, in my opinion.
One of the things that frustrates me, and the one thing I will get on Matt Patricia about is, look, we saw a Minnesota Vikings team last week on Thanksgiving that was facing a lot of these same issues, right? Missing offensive linemen injured, one of the worst linemen in the league. And I didn't see Kirk Cousins get touched more than one time on Thanksgiving. So clearly Kevin O'Connell schemed up something to get him not touched, and a lot of rollouts and a lot of bootleg stuff and all that. Where is any imagination in what the Patriots do? Outside of screen passes, I didn't see anything that could beat pressure.
It's not there. So they are a screen pass team. They are a slant team. They are a stick concept team where you have two quick outs, essentially side by each on one side of the formation. They are a swing pass team. So, your check downs to the running back that aren't screen passes. And every once in a while, you get a little sprinkle of the ever exotic bubble screen off an RPO, Brady. And I'm saying that facetiously, and I will grant them this. Listen, RPOs, the more the better. And so the fact that they're using them at all, I guess we congratulate them for that. They are way behind the rest of the league, though, when it comes to RPOs. And the one RPO that they seem to run, the one that seems to be in their bag, is this little bubble screen that they've run continuously. They've shown really no variation off of that RPO play that they have. Lucky for them, it went for a 48-yard touchdown because they got it to the best athlete on their team, arguably, in Marcus Jones last night. But that's about all you get in terms of variety, in terms of creativity. And it makes it so easy for the defense on the other side to get a beat on what you're doing. And to me, it really isn't all that different from last year. Last year, the Bills, in their last two games against the Patriots, they knew that the Patriots weren't going to be able to do anything against them other than maybe run the football. So they were very aggressive. They attacked the line of scrimmage. They forced the Patriots to do something other than run the football. And the Patriots couldn't do it. Last night, I thought the running game, even though Ramondre Stevenson's yards per carry looked okay early in the game, I didn't think it was all that great in terms of its effectiveness, in terms of its efficiency. And so then they had to go to the quick game. The Bills understood that. Again, you get aggressive, you attack the line of scrimmage, them to beat you with that quick game, you force them to beat you over the top, get away from the quick game. The Patriots could never do it. So they are just another, for the second year in a row, for different reasons, they're very easy to defend right now.
Phil, who do we get mad at about clock management and timeout usage? Because yesterday before the half, the Pats let 10 seconds run off the clock, from 43 to 33 seconds before they called a timeout. If you're going to call it, just call it at 43. Is that the quarterback's job? Is that the head coach's job? Is that Matt Patricia's job? Where does my anger go on clock management?
It ultimately goes back to the head coach, who has to be on the coordinator to be communicating to the quarterback and therefore the rest of the offense what the plan is. I think it's a breakdown across the board, but you start at the top when you talk about clock management, timeout usage. The fact that they didn't get the first down, which, by the way, who cares if you get the first down at the end of the first half there? If you're trying to really score points, which I don't think they were. I think they were trying to get a first down so that they could run clock, kill the clock, and kick a field goal, which, again, against the best offense, or one of the best offenses in football, the second best in terms of points scored this year, I'm not sure that's the best strategy, just to be kicking field goals whenever humanly possible, just so you can avoid mistakes. That, to me, is timid, quote-unquote timid, which is what one player told me was the best way to describe the Patriots' offensive plan last night. So I start with Bill Belichick. He has to communicate to Matt Patricia what they're doing. Hey, Matt, have a second play ready to go, by the way, if we're going to run this sneak on 3rd and 1, so that we don't have to burn another timeout, our last timeout, after picking up the first down here. Let's have a play ready to go, or let's have a spike ready to go, and then a play. There was just an overall lack of preparation on that side of the ball.
Phil, we'll get you out of here on this. They're 6-6. Arguably, they've got to win 4 of their next 5 to have a chance at the playoffs. I think that they are done. There are winnable games here, of course, but I think they are done. What do you think?
I agree with you. Unfortunately for them, you're going to have to try to steal a game from a really good offense here moving forward, even if they win the next 2 games. And listen, better for all of us covering this team if they win the next 2 games than not.
Yes.
Keep it interesting for us. End up 8-6, please. That would be great. But you're going to have to steal a game from one of the top 6 offenses in football when you play the Bills again, the Dolphins, and the Bengals. And I just don't know how you can keep pace with these offenses the way that your offense is playing right now. The personnel, to me, isn't going to change all that much. Maybe they can get a little healthier along the offensive line. The coaching, it looks like, is not going to change. So I'm not sure why there would be all that much optimism that they're going to be able to beat one of these really good teams down the stretch and make the playoffs.
Phil, man, we appreciate it. Tough loss for the Pats last night, 24-10. They're back at it next week. Monday Night Football in the desert against the Cardinals. Hopefully they can win that one, get over 500 again. Phil, man, appreciate it. Enjoyed pre- and post-game live and halftime live last night on NBC Sports Boston. You guys are the best, and we'll talk to you in 7 days.
You're the best, Brady. Appreciate you, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate you as well. That's Phil Perry, our Pats insider over at NBC Sports Boston. Great stuff with Phil. Always on top of things. Was at Gillette last night. And certainly he and his team great on post-game live last night. I watched nearly all of it. This is an organizational failure by the Patriots. Make no mistake. I'll tell you more about that next on DEV.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
Sponsored by Dell Small Business.
I'm Linda Kenyon in Washington. Crisis averted as President Biden signs a bill to avert a rail strike.
An amendment to add sick leave failed to reach the 60 votes needed to pass the Senate, but the unions say they are not giving up.
We're going to continue to fight the sick leave issue outside of contract.
Workers say the previously negotiated agreement does not address all of their concerns, but a majority of lawmakers say they had to act quickly as some impacts of a national rail strike could have been felt as soon. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
President Biden speaking in support of Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock in Georgia's December 6th runoff election against Republican Herschel Walker.
Today I found out from my staff that this morning there's been a higher turnout in terms of turnout of any time at this stage of the game in early voting. And early voting looks good for us.
More than 1 million people have taken part in early voting so far. The Royals are in Boston, and that's where we find CBS's Michael George.
With the royal visit in its final day, President Biden greeted Prince William outside the JFK Presidential Library Friday. Earlier, Caroline Kennedy, the late president's daughter and the U.S. ambassador to Australia, took Prince William through the library. The Prince and Princess of Wales are wrapping up their U.S. visit, their first big international appearance since Queen Elizabeth died in September. This week, royal fans lined up around the Boston area to catch a glimpse of William and Kate.
The January 6th committee has completed a final week of interviews. CBS's Scott McFarland reports.
This unprecedented congressional investigation is nearing closing time. The House January 6th Select Committee met Friday to talk about possible criminal referrals without making any announcement after the meeting. But we also know they're going to issue a final written report, 8 chapters long, voluminous, detailing the breadth and scope of everything they uncovered. That report must happen by January 2nd.
Republicans who will control the House in January are expected to disband the committee. Good news for Team USA at the World Cup.
In Tuesday's do-or-die match against Iran, he was responsible for the only goal. Christian Pulisic put the U.S. on top 1-0, the call on Fox. That turned out to be the final score, but Pulisic was injured when he crashed into the Iranian goalkeeper. There is now good news for the Americans. Pulisic's been given the green light to play in Saturday's knockout round match against the Netherlands. Steve Futterman, CBS News.
The Netherlands favored to win in tomorrow's match. This is CBS News.
Dell's Cyber Monday business sale starts now with up to 50% off on select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Call 877-ASK-DELL.
Celebrate the holidays with your favorite wine, beer, champagne, and spirits from your friends at Stowe Beverage. If you don't know what your best options are, ask Stowe Beverage. They've been helping customers for more than 30 years. The Stowe Beverage staff knows their wines and champagnes. They have the best selection of local and world-famous brews. Happy holidays from Lisa, Bob, Dennis, Chris, Jerry, Anna, and Mike at Stowe Beverage at the Gale Farm Center on the Mountain Road in Stowe.
This is David Goodman. Join me every Wednesday at 1 o'clock for the Vermont Conversation, brought to you by vtdigger.org, Vermont's nonprofit news source. I'll talk with national and local change makers from the worlds of politics, social and racial justice, science, education, and the environment who are having an impact on our daily lives. You can also hear the Vermont Conversation at vtdigger.org or sign up for our podcasts. Join me and take part in the Vermont Conversation Wednesdays at 1 here on WDEV.
the music of a pop star will debut this summer. CBS's Deborah Rodriguez has the details.
Coming to Broadway, a musical set to Britney Spears hits. Producers say Once Upon a One More Time will open at the Marquis Theater on June 22nd. The production had a sold-out run at the Shakespeare Theater Company in Washington, D.C. last January. It tells the story of some fairy tale princesses gathered for a book club meeting when a rogue fairy godmother drops copies of Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystique into their laps. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Twitter has suspended rapper Kanye West after he tweeted a picture of a swastika merged with the Star of David. It is the second time this year that he has been suspended from the platform over anti-Semitic posts. Also, the right-wing leaning social media site Parler says the deal to be acquired by West is off. Linda Kenyon, CBS.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Norwich hockey coming up the bottom of the hour, 6:35 with the pregame show. Cadets are taking on Babson. Craig Durham is live right now from Babson, just outside of Boston. So getting you ready for that one. Babson won the NEHC title last year. Thanks to Phil Perry from NBC Sports Boston for joining us here. And that interview soon will be available on the Brady Farkas Show podcast channel on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. We're going to unpack the Patriots here in about 10 minutes, but this for the Patriots is a complete institutional and organizational-wide failure. This is, as I told Phil, this is, in my opinion, not just a Mac Jones problem. It is not just a Bill Belichick problem. It is an everyone problem. Okay, give me the music, everybody. Give me the football music. If I'm going to do this, give me the music. All right. I have told you for months. In fact, I have told you since the day he got drafted that Mac Jones is not special. I have been telling you that he got drafted last April. I have been telling you for 20 months that Mac Jones is not special. And last night, make no mistake, last night was not Mac Jones' fault, right? Last night, he's got no time to throw. He's running for his life. He's under duress. The play calling is shoddy. Last night was not Mac Jones' fault. But you know what? Mac Jones isn't special. And why is that important? Because as Phil told you a little while ago, he cannot overcome the complete limitations that this organization has right now. Special guys and guys with special qualities can overcome some dysfunction. Mac Jones is not the guy to overcome dysfunction. Mac Jones is a guy who needs everything right for him, right? Look at last year. Easier schedule. They played some teams who were missing key guys because of injuries and COVID, right? Easier schedule. Get a couple wins that way. More games at home. Everything is good. Patriots were largely healthy last year. Other teams were not. You talk about they had a very good offensive line. They had an experienced play caller. Last year, Mac Jones in a cushy system, able to thrive. This year, Mac Jones in a dysfunctional system certainly looks like he is wilting, or at the very least, he is regressing. He cannot overcome the limitations right now this organization has. Why did I tell you to draft Justin Fields last year? Why did I tell you that having a mobile quarterback mattered? Because mobile quarterbacks have special qualities. They have some kind of it factor that Mac Jones doesn't have. The Patriots' offensive line is garbage. They don't have a ton of playmakers. They need a guy who can extend and create. Well, Mac was actually fairly elusive yesterday. He's not elusive in playmaking ability-wise, the guy that Justin Fields is. Josh Allen is special. Patrick Mahomes is special. Obviously, they can handle some dysfunction on the field and in their organization. But even guys like Justin Fields can too. Mac Jones doesn't have that. Mac Jones is fine. I've said this forever. He is good. He is not special. He is not good enough to overcome what is happening right now. He's not good enough to overcome what's happening. That is Mac. But it's not just him. It's Bill Belichick too. Bill Belichick has put Mac Jones, has put this team in an untenable position, and I have been saying that for months also. Almost every play, it felt last night like Mac Jones was under siege, right? Every time he went to throw, he's running for his life. A guy is missing a block. A cut block is getting completely whiffed on. A pass is getting back down because somebody's in the backfield. I am well aware that in the last decade, the area of pro football that has gotten the worst is offensive line play, right? There's no more two-a-days. Guys can't practice as much. Guys can't hit anybody. Offensive line play has regressed more than any other spot on the field. So offensive linemen are incredibly valuable. If you have good ones, you should value them like gold. And the Patriots did it. And that is a Bill Belichick problem, right? The offensive line is failing Mac, and that in turn is failing everybody else. And Bill Belichick couldn't afford to keep Ted Karras. He traded Shaq Mason inexplicably, and Phil Perry just told us that was because of money as well. The team last night doesn't have Isaiah Wynn, and instead of having capable backups, you are left with somebody named Connor McDermott at right tackle, and he's a guy who, no joke, I didn't even know was on the team. That is a Bill Belichick problem. So Mac's not special enough to overcome this. That's a him problem. Belichick has given him a bad offensive line, traded away or lost two capable offensive linemen. He's mismanaged the cap. This is on both of them. And oh, by the way, it's on Belichick also for how the offensive brain trust has been built. And we all predicted this too. I saw it and you saw it. We all knew the coaching alignment was no good. The coaching situation was no good. And there have been some nice moments for Matt Patricia this year, but this situation is no good. As Phil told us a little while ago, it's impossible to ask Matt Patricia to coach two things at once. Coaching one thing in the NFL is hard, and Patricia's coaching the line and calling the plays. It's hard to dedicate yourself to both, and as a result, both are struggling. And look, Matt Patricia, I'm sure he's trying his best. He never should have been in that position, and Bill Belichick put him there. That's another problem there on Belichick. And as for Patricia, he's not immune from this either. Again, I give a little bit of a pass because he shouldn't be in this spot, but, I mean, look, last week against the Minnesota Vikings, the Vikings were down multiple linemen. They were down their left tackle. Kirk Cousins is a mobile quarterback, and Kirk Cousins barely got touched. Why? His play caller was innovative enough to come up with something to move the damn pocket, to sprint right, do something, and Patriots yesterday do nothing. Right? Kirk Cousins last week, bad O-line. They find a way to keep him upright and spread the field, and the Patriots can do nothing. That is a Matt Patricia thing also. This is on everybody. Mac, who's not special, Belichick, the GM, for making some misguided moves, Patricia, the play caller. This is everyone, and people now are frustrated. This is a situation that is coming to a head. You see Mac, the video of him blowing up on the sideline. You got Kendrick Bourne calling out the coaching, calling out the offensive concepts, calling out the offensive line. It is ugly, and it is frustrating. Tex says, fire Belichick. I'm not firing Belichick this year, but I told you that next season, I've been saying this for months, next season, Bill Belichick is on the hot seat. Robert Kraft, this is going to be 4 years in a row without a playoff win for the New England Patriots. It's always been in Bill we trust. And Kraft has always taken all the weirdness because it resulted in championships. 4 years in a row with no playoff win. Robert Kraft's not going to take that anymore. Next year, Bill Belichick, I believe, has a good chance to be coaching for his job.
Which Patriots popped?
To the 30, to the 20. He is end zone thrown. Pick six. Touchdown. Patriots.
and which ones flopped?
Jones steps up in the pocket, unloads a deep ball, and it's intercepted. That'll put the cherry on top.
We unpack the Patriots now on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Unpacking the Patriots here on DEV. I have one compliment from last night. I don't want to be negative all day. I got one compliment, and that is that, as I told you, Marcus Jones is a stud.
One for each guy. And that's caught here. And Marcus Jones inside the 20. Marcus Jones down the sideline. Touchdown.
The one bit of creativity the Patriots had yesterday involved putting Marcus Jones on offense. It's something they hadn't done yet this year. It's something we knew that Marcus Jones did at Houston. I was excited about Marcus Jones the day he got drafted. I was excited to watch Marcus Jones above all other rookies in the preseason. I'm tickled to death with him as a punt returner. And now we're seeing him on defense a little more as a corner, and we saw him on offense yesterday. It was the one wrinkle the Patriots threw at Buffalo, and it worked. Marcus Jones is a stud. Is he an every down defensive back on the outside? I don't know. Probably not. Is he an every down wide receiver? Definitely not. But you know what he is? He's an athlete. And the Patriots have needed athletes. You know what the Bills have? Athletes. You know what you need more of? Athletes. Marcus Jones is an athlete. He's a solution to a problem, and he is a guy who helps this team, and they should find more ways to use him. He's dynamic in the kick return game. He can be dynamic with the ball in his hands offensively. I'm a huge fan of Marcus Jones, and this is one thing the Patriots have done right this year. Pat's draft class has had some nice moments. Marcus Jones is one of those guys who's had nice moments. Jack Jones has had them too. Cole Strange has been up and down. Zappe had him. Like, the draft class for the Pats has been all right this year. Marcus Jones is an absolute stud as far as I'm concerned. Now, back to the negatives, because it was all negative for the most part yesterday in a 24-10 loss. The Patriots yesterday just felt like they lied down. The Patriots yesterday felt like they quit. They quit from an individual play perspective. The Josh Allen touchdown where he rolled right and almost stepped out of bounds, Jonathan Jones, stopped playing. The ball that Gabe Davis caught, Jonathan Jones ran right past him and gave up on the play. That's a problem. So they gave up in individual moments, and then philosophically, they gave up too before the first half, where the Patriots, as Phil said, just playing for a field goal when they were down 10 points. At the end of the game, they're down 24-7, and they decide to go on, a 17-play drive that takes them more than 5 minutes just to get to the red zone. The Pats were, no wonder Mac is frustrated. They were content to just matriculate the ball down the field and then kick a field goal at the end with no urgency from the coaching staff. Ted Johnson, after the game on NBC Sports Boston, said it felt like the Pats were just trying to not make another mistake and get killed, and they were just trying to save face. That's ridiculous. The Patriots yesterday looked like they quit. Number 3, the clock management has been horrific lately. I mean, Phil mentioned situationally this team not being very good, bad in the red zone, bad on third down. Clock management is a part of that too. Okay? At the end of the first half, it's 2nd and 1. The Patriots run a draw. They don't get it. It's now 3rd and 1. The Patriots waste 10 seconds before calling a timeout. So they lose a timeout, and they waste 10 seconds off the clock. Then on 3rd and 1 with one timeout, they run a quarterback sneak and are forced to burn the last one. And as a result, they can't do anything more at the end of the first half, and they have to settle for a 48-yard field goal attempt, which, by the way, they missed. And this all comes 1 week after what they did at the end of the first half against Minnesota. Clock management has to be better. And for a guy who's been in the NFL for 50 years, you've got to be better at it. End of the first half should have been chances at the end zone, or at least getting closer for a field goal. But instead, a draw play and a QB sneak, and you burned 2 timeouts, and you wasted 10 extra seconds. It was horrific. The Patriots continue to beat themselves with penalties. Okay, we've always said, oh, these are uncharacteristic Patriots penalties. No, they were uncharacteristic when the team had Tom Brady. 4 years ago, the team didn't beat itself. Now, the last couple of years, this team has beaten itself. And it's beaten itself a lot. 6 total penalties for 62 yards, multiple of which were crushing to you. Jack Jones gets flagged on a 3rd down in which the Pats would have forced a punt. Cole Strange had a holding near your own goal line that was nearly a safety. Mac Jones followed that play on that same play with intentional grounding. You had a holding on a kickoff return, which sets you back to the 10 for your starting field position. You had a delay of game on a punt. I mean, we always think of beating yourselves as committing turnovers. That's part of it. It's also beating yourself when you commit penalties. And the Patriots are doing that far too much pre-snap and far too much at inopportune times. Here's the problem with the Patriots not being able to be explosive, right? Listen to this. I have called all season for the Patriots to have some explosive elements in their offense, and they don't have them, right? They do not have them. So the Patriots are a team that likes to run the football and now likes to use the short passing game. And they do that, and when you do that, you kind of just go 3 yards at a time, 6 yards here, 5 yards there, 4 yards there, and you just kind of just get down the field, right? 13 plays, 15 plays. Well, when you are that kind of team and you have a penalty, that kills you, right? When you can't cover, when you can't play from ahead of the chains, those penalties are crushing. I give you this. The first drive of the Patriots half yesterday, second half, right? 1st and 10. Matt completes a pass to Aguilar. 2nd and 4 at the 26. Ramondre Stevenson runs for 7 yards. 1st and 10 at the 33. Stevenson runs for 6. They get a penalty. Now it's 1st and 10 at the 44. Stevenson runs for 11. Now it's 1st and 10 at the Buffalo 45. The Pats have run 4 plays and are already in Bills territory, trailing just 17-7. And then what happens? David Andrews holding. And now it's 1st and 20, and now you are screwed. And that's the drive. When you are a team with no explosive elements, 1st and 20 is a death sentence, right? Josh Allen can work a little bit off 1st and 20. Patrick Mahomes can work off 1st and 20. Joe Burrow can work off 1st and 20. You can't. What happens when the Patriots get 1st and 20? Well, Mac Jones, it ends up, it gets a 2nd and 14, and then 3rd and 14, and then 4th and 9, and then you punt. Because you just can't do anything. And that's a problem. That is a problem. You need something explosive to help you when something bad does happen. You Patriots had a nice drive going. 1st and 20 is a death sentence. Absolutely a death sentence. Now the Patriots players are talking after the game in the locker room. They're negative on the coaches, negative on the sideline. This is a situation we haven't seen in New England very often. This is a problem. And finally, I got to give Josh Allen a lot of credit. In one non-Patriots takeaway, I got to give Josh Allen a lot of credit. I thought the Patriots' best course of action yesterday was to play zone defense, let Buffalo run, see if you could stop them in the red zone, and then also see if you could challenge Josh Allen to be disciplined, right? I was hoping they'd run the ball, but then eventually you drop in a zone and Josh Allen would look at it and go, oh, I'm tired of handing off. Let me take a shot, and then you'd be there for the pick. Largely, he didn't take any chances. He played smart. You were playing zone, he took the underneath stuff. I got to give him credit for that. I thought the Patriots did the right thing defensively. They let Buffalo run. They tried to force them into long drives. They tried to hold in the red zone. They just couldn't. And they tried to bait Josh Allen into making ill-advised throws. And with the exception of the one interception that they had that was dropped, Josh Allen just took dink and dunk all night long. I got to give him credit for that because that's hard to do. Quarterbacks get antsy. Quarterbacks want to make the big play. And Josh Allen has had that ability or has had that problem in his past, and he didn't have it last night. So It was ugly for the Patriots. It wasn't all ugly because of them. Josh Allen and the Bills created some of that, but by and large, it was ugly. The Pats are 6-6. They are, in my mind, not going to make the playoffs, but they are still mathematically in it. A couple other comments here on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. Joe says, I'm sorry, I'm a diehard, but Brady, this season is already meaningless. I don't want them in the playoffs because it would be a beatdown just like last year, just like you said, they are an average team. Kyle says they are making too many mistakes. Yeah, they are. And they're making too many mistakes at inopportune times. And that has been a thing for them ever since Tom Brady left. Pre-snap penalties, holding penalties, halting penalties, penalties in the red zone. It is too many mistakes. We used to say, the Patriots never beat themselves. No, they never used to beat themselves. They are beating themselves now. The Patriots are not as bad as 6-6 would indicate, but when you start taking penalties and making turnovers, you are what your record says you are. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. A couple other things here before we wrap up. I want to thank everybody. We just yesterday hit the 500,000 download marker on the Brady Farkas Show podcast. Pretty amazing. Right, we've been doing this show for 2 years and a month-ish, and we just got 500,000 downloads. That's just of our podcast. Obviously, there's those of you that listen live every day that don't need the podcast, but those of you that subscribe to the podcast, those of you that listen to the show or interviews on the podcast or go back to hear something again, or you spread it on social media, I thank you. Not one person cares about this that's listening, because I think I had the coolest job in the world. But putting on a radio show every day, it's hard. Okay, it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of, we're watching things. We're always hooked in on Twitter. You're never away from your phone. Planning the show is hard. Again, nobody cares because it's the coolest job in the world. But I just want to acknowledge the people that help put the show together. It is a hard thing to do every day, and having it hit 500,000 people, that's an accomplishment that makes me feel good and should make them feel good as too, right? Old intern Colin, old intern Jack, Danny from Vermont Viewpoint, who does a lot for this show behind the scenes while also working on Vermont Viewpoint. He is a huge help, and I'm appreciative of everybody who helps put this together. So 500,000 downloads, thank you very much. If you're not already subscribed, please help be part of our next 500,000 on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. UVM men's soccer, want to wish them good luck this weekend. Catamounts are in the Elite Eight. The Elite Eight of the NCAA tournament. They're taking on Syracuse tomorrow. Winner goes to the Final Four. Catamounts are in the Elite Eight for the first time since 1989. We had head coach Rob Dow on the show on Monday. He was awesome. Would love having Rob Dow on and wish his team best of luck. That game's 2 o'clock in Syracuse. I'll be watching some of it on ESPN+. UVM men's basketball plays on Sunday at Merrimack. That's going to be a 2 p.m. start on the road. Catamounts last night played NVU-Lyndon, and I got to say, I was appalled at what I saw in the first half. UVM won the game 101-63. That game, from my perspective, was a train wreck in the first half. Now, let me just for context, Bryant, who I've ragged on this week, Bryant played Thomas College, same league as NVU-Lyndon, and Bryant beat them by 100 points. 100. Now, we can have a separate conversation about running up the score like that, but Bryant beat them by 108 points. I think it was 147-39. And UVM only won by 38, 101-63. And at the half, it was only a 17-point difference. UVM allowed Lyndon to hit 15 threes and shoot over 50% from three. Like, if Lyndon can shoot 50% from three on you, what is a Bryant going to do to you? We talk about the defense having to get a lot better. It's got to get a lot better. A Division III team, and a bad one at that, hit 15 threes on you, and scored 37 points in the first half. That is atrocious. Thomas College against Bryant scored 39 for the whole game. Lyndon scored 37 in the first half against you. Hit 15 threes. Had a guy get over 20. A guy for Lyndon was the leading scorer in that game. Not good. I still believe the expectation should be that UVM wins the title. But if you're going to allow 37 in the first half against a Division III team and a bad one at that, I'm not backtracking on my expectations, but the idea they become reality, a little tougher to believe. Brady Farkas Show podcast is available, everybody, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. Norwich hockey is coming up next. The Cadets are taking on Babson. Our coverage begins in 5 minutes. Craig Durham on the call there from Babson. And Phil Perry, our NBC Sports Boston insider, he was with us earlier today. That interview also available on the Brady Farkas Show podcast channel. Have a great weekend, everybody. I will see you on Monday. We have a full show for all 90 minutes, 5:30 till 7. Norwich hockey is next. Go Cadets.
Miss Black Friday? Dell's Cyber Monday event starts now with deals on powerful business.